Hello, and welcome to Health Patrol, where happy people come from healthy food. I'm your host, Vinay Calva. This video is about pancreatic cancer. Disclaimer: this supplementary information and video are for informational purposes only and are not and do not represent a substitute for the advice and/or guidance of a licensed healthcare professional. While all attempts have been made to ensure the accuracy of the information presented in this video, please consult your physician and other relevant healthcare professional prior to acting on any information presented in the supplementary information and the video. So, pancreatic cancer is some rare disease that only affects a few people, right? No, that's actually not the case. In fact, pancreatic cancer affects thousands of people around the globe. Let's take a more detailed look at the statistics. This table is a summary of pancreatic cancer globally. As you can see, there are thousands of cases around the world and thousands of unfortunate deaths, as well as a prevalence value. I'll explain that in a minute. So, cases defines how many people have a disease. Only one person generally has one case. Well, actually, all people who have a disease can only have one case of a disease. So there are 448,000 people around the world who have pancreatic cancer. 232,000 of those people are men, and 216,000 of those people are women. As you may have seen, there are 16,000 more men in the world who have pancreatic cancer than women. As for deaths, how many people died of a disease? That is, the disease caused them to perish, unfortunately. Well, 226,000 people perished from pancreatic cancer in 2017. 226,000 men and 215,000 women perished from pancreatic cancer in 2017. That means 11,000 more men perished from pancreatic cancer than women. So what is this prevalence value? This prevalence value defines how many cases there are per 100,000 people. So let's say that we have a hypothetical city with 1 million people. So prevalence tells us that overall, there are 5.7 cases of pancreatic cancer per 100,000 people. So in our hypothetical city of 1 million, 57 people in that city have pancreatic cancer. And what's the 95% UI thing? Well, the 95% UI stands for 95% uncertainty interval. That's the opposite of a confidence interval, which determines how much confidence, which determines how much the estimate might be off. The same thing with the uncertainty interval. The authors are uncertain that their estimate is correct. So they made two other estimates to determine how accurate this 5.7 value might be. In this case, the correct value might be anywhere between 5.6 and 5.8. So you have a pretty good estimate. So now let's talk about risk factors. How can we make sure that we don't get pancreatic cancer? These are some major risk factors for pancreatic cancer. Note that I said some. There are many other factors, as shown here. So keep that in mind. So let's start off with cigarette smoking and alcohol consumption. It's pretty obvious. We shouldn't do it. For poor diet, it varies based on the food. Same thing with low physical activity. It's bad. That's bad. Diabetes is bad. Obesity is bad. And poor oral health is bad too. And there are also other factors that have mixed effects, as you may see from the icon key below. So let's start off with cigarette smoking. Pretty obvious. It's bad for us. After all, if you smoke a cigarette, you'll be harming a lot of your body. Cigarette smoking causes many types of cancer, not just pancreatic. Alcohol is also bad. I mean, alcohol affects the liver and many other parts of the body. What about poor diet, though? Well, it depends based on the food. Let's take a more detailed look. This is a summary of different foods and their effects on pancreatic cancer risk. Now, there are parentheses with numbers inside of them. That's how many studies that I found during researching this topic that support my conclusion. For example, fruits and vegetables seems to be pretty well supported, with 4 studies out of the 14 that I found examining fruits and vegetables for my conclusion. However, some are not as well supported, like the margarine one, which only has 1 study out of 14 that examines margarine in any capacity. So just keep this as a general guide and not really as an authoritative source. But in general, eating a healthy diet that is lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, and healthy animal products should be beneficial in reducing your risk of pancreatic cancer if you also reduce red meat, processed meat, and other processed foods. So let's go back to this list. Low physical activity is also pretty bad because if we don't exercise, then we're harming all parts of our body. Now, those are the main risk factors that affect pancreatic cancer, and we'll discuss some other ones too. Diabetes and obesity are also caused dependent on the cancer, dependent on the diabetes or obesity case by cigarette smoking, alcohol consumption, poor diet, and or low physical activity. So if you avoid cigarettes and alcohol, you have a healthy diet and exercise regularly, you should probably not get diabetes and obesity, which are themselves risk factors for pancreatic cancer. So by that logic, you probably won't get pancreatic cancer. As for poor oral health, this is actually a risk factor for pancreatic cancer. And surprisingly, the health of your mouth has a lot more to do with your overall health than you may think. But for now, we'll just discuss poor oral health in the context of pancreatic cancer. It turns out diseases of the mouth, like periodontal disease, which is gum disease, can actually increase your risk of pancreatic cancer. And this has been shown in peer-reviewed research that's been published in high-impact research journals. And then there are other factors. These haven't been included, but these other factors may vary. For example, workplace exposure to certain chemicals can increase your risk of pancreatic cancer, but these have not been included in my analysis here. So I've just put a mixed effect to signify that some are good and some are bad. Okay, so we have a problem with our risk factors. How do we make sure that they don't end up negatively affecting us? Here are some mitigation tips. So the first 2 are pretty obvious. If you don't want to get pancreatic cancer, don't smoke and don't drink. For poor dietary habits, eat lots of healthy foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, etc. For low physical activity, exercise regularly, and follow those tips for preventing diabetes and obesity. Now, not all diabetes is preventable, but this can minimize your risk as much as you can. As for poor oral health, same thing, similar thing, brush and floss regularly. If you keep your mouth clean, you will minimize your risk of pancreatic cancer. So hey, it's not so hard. You can make sure that you don't get pancreatic cancer. Thank you to Slides Carnival and Unsplash for creating the slide presentation and photographs, respectively. If you would like to access further information, this is available via the slide presentation and resource buttons available below this video on healthpatrol.org. If you are watching this video on YouTube, a link to the video page on healthpatrol.org is available in the description. From there, you can access the slide presentation with more details about how I reached the conclusions that I explained in this video, as well as more specific details about the evidence itself. In addition, you will also be able to access the reference page, and the references page contains info about all the studies I used, with links so that you can read the original research itself, so that you don't have to take just my word for it. You can read the studies yourself and make your own decisions. Once again, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for watching Health Patrol, where happy people come from healthy food.